To quote Tricky Dick, the black man's pride is the white man's hope.
And these Negroes, unwittingly, driving their big Cadillacs and wearing their fur coats with all the diamonds, that's the capitalist dream that we need with black men to be seen. And that America ain't that bad for black men, and you don't need to be burning up Detroit and Newark and Watts. That y'all need to do. Now, the fact that they knew that a lot of that money was being generated from the narcotic traffic, whatever. But it's a stark difference between after Nixon takes over.
And that's why in this whole field of minority business enterprise, much of which will begin small but can eventually grow until it's big.
Only guys I ever heard prior to the Nixon taking over in '68 was right here, which you chronicled, Henry Marzat. And Pee Wee Kirkland was riding Rolls Royces, Corniches in '66. One of the chief attorneys, absolute legal legend and hero and legend in American history for those who do some deep digging, Milton Henry. In '66, Milton Henry is debating William F. Buckley and supporting his movement for the Republic of New Africa, talking about the United States government needs to give African Americans the 5 slave states of the Confederacy.
This is William F. Buckley, Jr. The guest this week on Firing Line is Mr. Milton Henry, and the subject is black separatism in America. They have designs on Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. Mr. Henry is from Philadelphia, a graduate of the Yale Law School, who served 6 years in the Detroit City Council, ran for Congress, but was beaten by another Negro, Mr. John Conyers, in a race which he believes to have been stacked against him.
Now, Eddie Jackson's lawyer, Milton Henry, who Eddie Jackson paid a lot of money to when they were indicted in '71, Milton Henry had all 36 of the indictees as his clients. He took them from the local Detroit Federal Court to the Circuit Court of Appeals, all the way. The Supreme Court wouldn't hear the case, but they considered it for a while. So they stayed out on bond for like 6 years. And Milton Henry was making money all that time.
I don't believe there's ever been any historical example of a successful biracial society. Secondly, so far as we're concerned here in America, we have, as black people, been separated out into our separate community, a community of suffering that's been almost continuous since our arrival here. I don't know of any black people who've ever escaped. You look about at the economic power. We can't think, only a fool would think that economic power in this country is shared to any degree by black people. The productivity of this country, $850 billion per year, tremendous productivity, ability to produce goods and service.
For a select few African Americans who had to achieve it by any means necessary, well, whether there was the zeitgeist, just the spirit of the times, or Nixon, certainly black capitalism, some of it illegal, started to really flourish in the Nixon administration.
Within 4 years, he's representing Eddie Jackson, Courtney Brown in federal court.
Being paid a lot of money.
And being paid more money than he ever made.
Look at the open housing situation that you're now talking about all over this country. Open housing is a myth. It's completely unrealistic and from our standpoint, of course, undesirable.
And during that time, Milton Henry went from being on William F. Buckley show talking about his organization, Republic of New Africa, wanting to live away from whites and be separate, to living in one of America's most exclusive suburbs.
But we're trying to look at it from the standpoint of your American dream. What is there about the American dream that has ever been realized by black people? What could we ever hope for within the framework of a society which is dominated by white people, in which the very factor of race enters into every consideration, into the price of an insurance premium, into the place we live, into the job we share?
So when we talk about Courtney Brown Sr.'s entry into the dope game, changing his family's trajectory, it's not that they simply could buy some Cadillacs and diamonds. The money they paid their formerly black separatist lawyer, Milton Henry, allowed him to move into Bloomfield Hills, which was actually more elite in terms of money and power than Beverly Hills.
I mean, he was the first black person I knew to live in Bloomfield Hills.
Oh, which was a step up even from...
Yeah, I mean...
What year did he move there?
right after when the cake started.
Oh, it also meant that Courtney Brown Jr.'s sister attended the Cranbrook School in Bloomfield, which is around the same, a little bit after when the future almost president of the United States, Mitt Romney, whose dad was running the fourth biggest car company in America, American Motors, he went to Cranbrook. So these are the neighborhoods that Courtney Brown's children were going to school in and that his lawyer was living in, all from street money.
Yeah, I mean, that's where all the big three leadership that wasn't in old money, Grosse Pointe, lived in Bloomfield Hills.
Leroy Johnson, the politician who got the alley quarry fight to happen in Atlanta in the first place, was so enterprising that not long after the robbery made national headlines, he held a press conference in front of the scene of the crime to announce that a movie about the event was in the works.
Here on Hander Drive, a robbery took place that occurred at the time of a party, and we're producing a first-class movie of the robbery that occurred here in the city of Atlanta, here where we're standing today, after the big fight between Muhammad Ali and Quarry.
Apparently, the plan to make a movie by Leroy Johnson didn't come to fruition, but it did inspire a key scene in Bill Cosby's Uptown Saturday Night.
So I heard that for the first time in 88, 89. Then I put it together that, you know what, that's crazy. And then when the timeline, I was like, that's the scene out of Uptown Saturday Night with Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier and Madame Zenobia After Hour Joe.
Get on the ground! Everybody get on the fucking ground!
And now, over 50 years later, Netflix is finally making it all come to life, albeit in a fictionalized form called Fight Night that comes out September 2024.